Hi, my name's Declan Goodman and I'm the host of the Digital Mythology Podcast. Welcome. I'm very excited about this podcast. I've been in IT tech for too many years. You can tell by the grey hair. I am very excited to start this podcast. It's about, in my view, digital transformation is difficult. It's hard work and a lot of money spent on it. But what, in my view, there hasn't been enough investment on is telling the story. Everybody loves a good story. Everybody needs a story they can connect with, they can feel. Everybody needs to be able to identify with a good story. And that's what I'm here to do in this podcast, to help you use tips and tricks from ancient mythology, from modern day approaches to digital tech to win the hearts and minds of your stakeholders, to use metaphors so that you can gain understanding and to ignite their passion and interest in what you're doing so you win stakeholder buy-in and you can be overall more successful. I will be inviting guests onto the podcast. I want to hear from people's experience in this space, and I'm very excited to be able to do this with my audience and to talk through tips and tricks on how to make things overall more successful for you. So, without further ado, let's get started. Hello, welcome back. I'm Declan Goodman, your Digital Mythology Podcast host. I'm excited today to talk more about one of the pillars of the Digital Mythology storytelling framework. If you missed that, please go and have a listen to the introductory episode where I describe the overall storytelling framework and the essence and purpose of digital mythology. Okay, Xin, not this Xin, not the one in your leg, Xin. Here, it's a Chinese word for heart-mind connection. And in the storytelling framework around digital mythology, to better tell the story and to get better business and non-technical buy-in, this is the first of the three pillars. And I really want to talk about this one today because it's quite special to me, because I'm a big fan of mythology and ancient history, and I love Chinese mythology. And Chinese the Orient, more Eastern belief systems. And Xin came to me, I think I was listening to a talk by Alan Watts, and he was talking about Wu Wei, and which I often use. It's another term. Wu Wei is this non-forcing piece, but Xin is also a lovely term. And what it means is it's where emotion meets cognition. So if you're trying to tell any story or you're trying to build any rapport with somebody, yes, the intellect is powerful, and we're dealing with a lot of people that have quite analytic thinking. Often when you're in digital technology, a lot of people you work with have quite strong analytical cognitive ability, and they're quite articulate. But what's sometimes missing, and in my experience almost always missing when it comes to sharing your story about digital transformation, is the heart, is really that emotional piece. So when you're trying to raise funding at the executive table, or you're trying to convince a program that you have to invest a number of $1 million in migrating from best of breed to best of suite for say your HRMS or your finance capability, all of that talk is very cognitively understandable and can appeal to the intellect, but it isn't going to always give you the best connection with the person. Digital transformation is about storytelling. This is why I started this podcast in the first place. But storytelling isn't done very well in this industry. And I'm not sure why. I'm pretty sure there's some of you might be able to share your thoughts on that. But when it comes to the first pillar in storytelling, it's to connect with the individual so that your digital story is not just heard, but is felt. Sounds a bit fluffy, sounds a bit hippie maybe, but it's not the case. It's real. And I can tell you it's real because in my experience, I've worked with clients where I've used this approach and it's made huge differences, very positive. Why is that? Well, it's no surprise. We're all humans and everybody has a Xin and this Xin. And everybody wants to they want things explained to them where they feel that they are clear on what's been done. They have a good understanding as to the why, because there's so much going on and there's so many competing priorities. Why is your digital transformation journey? Why do you need me? Why is it important? And a good story using the Xin pillar will make sure that that's communicated. So let me give some examples. Let's talk about conventional ways of speaking digitally, and then I'm going to talk about how to use Xin, or heartfelt language. To start with, I'd like to pick, please make some suggestions here, but to start with, I'll just use the old chestnut, remediate technical debt. So I think there's probably, I would say those three words, remediate technical debt, they're pretty messy, right? They're pretty technical. They're pretty hard to feel. But when you think about it, if you're to apply your Xin narrative, your language, your reframing, an example of how I'd communicate it would be, we want to restore integrity and we want to address past neglect, because that's what we're doing. We've not looked after the swamp. We have added to the swamp. We've not done a great job of keeping our tech up to date. We've been busy. We had other things to do. Too many things to do. And as a result, we neglected it. Now you see that language, neglect. We want to restore integrity, right? We want to get to a point of having confidence in our systems, in our digital tech. That's the Xin approach, because most people will feel this past neglect rather than feel something called remediate technical debt. So that's an example where Xin is a very nice way for this pillar. Xin is the first pillar I wanted to start with. It's about your language. It's about getting your story felt, not just heard. Another example would be, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, we would have increased operational efficiency. Now that's, who isn't doing that these days? But still has a bit of a technical feel to it. I would propose we use Xin and we turn that into a statement around harmonizing workflows or harmonizing our capabilities. So it goes from words like operational efficiency to, it goes from words like increase, which is lift, to harmonize. The word harmonize is a very felt-orientated word. It means the same thing. It's just a better way of telling it. Another example is if you take decision making. So enhancing our data analytics or restructuring our data to make better decisions. This is a real, it's often a very strong driver of a digital transformation program. Again, enhancing data-driven decisions, it's okay. It has the word data-driven, which is nice, but again, a little bit of too much cognitive there. So let's move it into Xin. An example of Xin would be, we want to balance our insights with intuition. Now, it's like, that's what we're doing. That's why we do data analytics and data management in the first place, is to give information to business and technical stakeholders so that we can use our intuition more wisely. And that's back to the mythology element. What was it? I can't remember exactly who said it, but there was might have been Swartz, I'm not certain, but it was someone said humans are people think we are thinking machines that feel. It's actually not. We're actually feeling beings that think, and that's where the Xin is so important. You got to tap into considering how to make your story felt. So that's an example. Imagine, I'm not saying you go in and you start opening up technical meetings and saying, hey, everybody, let's balance insight with intuition. I'm not saying that. People might think you're going all hippie or loose on them, but I mean, it's a great conversation starter, right? If you're going to talk to an executive or a business person and they're saying, I just can't seem to make good decisions. Well, what makes a good decision? I mean, you can never have unlimited information. You always have limited information at the time. But how do you make good decisions? I mean, why do you have a mature workforce? Why are you hiring talented people? I mean, if decisions could be made by pure data analytics without any human insight or human intuition, then just get AI to make your decisions. There's a whole market in that as well. And some decisions can be made. But what sets your organization as a competitive structure, what sets you apart from your competitors? Well, most cases people will tell you it's your people, and that's true. It's not your tech. But as a digital transformation leader, you want to get the right information to the people making the decisions. And those people making the decisions should be able to tap into their instinct, to their insights, to their inner wisdom more readily. And that's an example again. So we go from enhancing data-driven decision-making, using data tools, to we want to balance, insights with intuition. So we all have intuition, we have that, but we also have insights into how our business should work. Let's do it better. So that's just a couple of examples of how Xin can be used. I would like to, I'll be covering these more in the rest of the podcasts, but as a pillar, it's the first one. In my view, it's one of the most important ones, is appeal to the Xin. And I'd like to invite you to share some of your insights as well. What Xin language would you recommend using for what typical digital transformation challenges and opportunities we face?